Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Today we're talking about a topic that pertains to so many of us, anxiety, and how to minimize that anxiety with, believe it or not, our diet. My guest is psychiatrist Dr. Uma Naidoo, author of the book, Calm Your Mind with Food, a revolutionary guide to controlling your anxiety. Dr. Naidoo, great to see you again on Healthy Living. Thanks for coming back to join us today about this very important topic of managing anxiety with food.
Thanks, Laura. It's always lovely to talk with you. I'm happy to be here.
So you are sort of a triple threat in the field of medicine and food. You're a Harvard-trained psychiatrist. You're also a professional chef and a nutrition expert, and all these things sort of blend together into a field that many of our viewers have never heard of, nutritional psychiatry. Can you talk about what nutritional psychiatry is?
It's a newer field, Laurie, that is really based on one of the concepts being the research of the gut microbiome and the gut-brain connection. But nutritional psychiatry is the use of healthy whole foods and nutrients to improve your mental well-being, in addition to any other form of treatment you may be taking, which may include prescription medications or psychotherapy. It's all meant to work together to offer you more tools in the toolkit.
So are there very many nutritional psychiatrists such as yourself?
It's a new and emerging field, Laurie, and I'm certainly trying to create more educational resources and programming to educate other clinicians. Not all psychiatrists are practicing this way, but certainly I will say that the food is medicine movement is something that is being brought to everyone's attention in a slow and steady way. Because I do think that these days, people want a little bit more option to try alternative ways to think about their health. And all I mean by that is food can be very powerful, something we've often overlooked. Yet we eat meals every day, and it can be such a powerful tool to support everything else in our health journey and our mental health journey.
So when you talk about your patients, for example, people who come in to see you about issues such as anxiety, you're happy to prescribe them prescription medications to treat anxiety, but also either augment that prescription or in place of that prescription, talk about some things that they can do regarding their diet.
That is correct. You know, I do prescribe medications when needed, but I really believe in a more holistic and integrated approach. So if someone comes in to see me, Laurie, and they are able to function, they're going to work, but they're really getting up with anxiety and they feel anxious to go to every meeting. Sometimes they are able to cope with these other strategies, nutrition, using a prayer or mindfulness practice, something that can help calm the mind, using exercise, outdoor time, which offers us some daylight, which helps our vitamin D levels just for 10 minutes. All sorts of different strategies to help, but nutrition is the pillar. And sometimes individuals manage without medications, and sometimes they actually are able to stay on a lower dose of medications because we're using additional strategies to help them.
Can you talk about the research behind this? A lot of people might say,
Sure.
what? I don't really believe that your diet can really have that much of an impact on your anxiety level.
Right. I would love to share some of the science behind it, but I also want to say that research has shown that about 70% of individuals never ever see a mental health professional. So you're absolutely right, Laurie. Many people are suffering from whether it's worry, stress, anxiety, angst, depression, mood disorders, or other things, but they never ever actually get to see a professional. So I think it's important for us to know other things we can be doing while perhaps we try to get a therapy appointment or something else. So the first thing I'll share is that it turns out eating yogurt, if you do consume yogurt, isn't just for digestion. It's actually a stress buster, because we have found in research that there's a certain bacteria in fermented foods like yogurt called lactobacillus that helps to manage stress. It helps to prevent depression and anxiety, and it kind of fine-tunes our immune system. So, you know, this is research that was done this year at the University of Virginia Medical School, and it's really helping us to understand more about other ways we can manage our stress. Another one is that you don't realize this, but stress actually can begin in the gut, even though we might perceive it elsewhere in our body. Stress in the mind can sometimes actually start in the gut. So we think, well, we're feeling anxious, but actually there could be an issue with our digestive system. It could be that we are eating foods that are driving a process called inflammation and making our gut environment we undergo something called dysbiosis with the microbes that reside there. There are trillions of microbes that live in the gut that are there to help us. So it's important to look at this in a bidirectional way and try to find ways that we can help ourselves through the use of different foods.
It really is shocking to so many of us that the foods that we eat can have such a huge impact on our mood and our level of anxiety. And it's actually pretty encouraging, because if you're feeling down, if you're feeling anxious, you might want to take a look at what you've been eating. And how long after a person changes their diet can they expect to see a turnaround in their anxiety levels?
You know, Lori, in my clinical practice, sometimes people notice a change within a week. They might notice they're sleeping better. But usually it's a slow and steady process. So it takes between 1 to 3 weeks. But people do notice feeling better almost within the first week. And that is because they're tweaking some dietary habit, some food habit that might have been actually worsening their anxiety. What we need to understand is that it's a marathon and not a sprint. And consistently, most of the time, trying to eat a healthy whole foods diet is going to help conditions like anxiety. So it's really getting on board with making some good changes to really target how we can help those microbes and manipulate in a positive way the gut environment to help conditions like anxiety, because we know things like there's a bacteria called Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which actually targets anxiety through receptors, GABA receptors in the gut. So, you know, the science is unfolding, and it's for us to really use it to our best health benefit through food.
So you mentioned yogurt that has the good bacteria. What are some other things that people should be / could be eating and drinking that can improve our gut microbiome?
Yes, and I break this down as CALMS, CALMS, so that people can remember it in the supermarket. Roy, these are just some of the foods. There are many more that I list in the book with the science behind them. But this is just a sort of a cheat sheet, so to say, so you remember these as you're shopping. One is the C is for colors. We want all those colors of vegetables and berries because those bring positive nutrients to our body and mind. Extra dark chocolate, that's the next C. Chocolate is great, especially the extra dark kind. We're not talking candy bars here. So that has a very good plant-based source of iron, and many people may be iron deficient, especially women and children. Vitamin C, very important nutrient for the brain and the gut, and also helps the absorption of iron from foods like chocolate. And the fourth C is chickpeas. Chickpeas, great source of tryptophan, which is a precursor to a very important neurotransmitter, serotonin. It contains tryptophan, and tryptophan helps with serotonin. The A is for anthocyanins and ashwagandha and antioxidants. So think blue from blueberries. Think ashwagandha. If you wish to speak to your doctor about a supplement, this is one that has a lot of good evidence for anxiety. And simply antioxidants, again, think of those colors and fruit and vegetables and the foods that we eat that are really helping our body and mind.
So you've gone through C and A. You have LMS. We're going to take a quick break and get back to those other pillars of good health, how to minimize your anxiety. We're talking with Dr. Uma Naidoo. She is a nutritional psychiatrist and the author of the book, Calm Your Mind with Food, a revolutionary guide to controlling your anxiety. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel, now available at cbnradio.com.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs, from health to entertainment, you won't find anywhere else. CBN News, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. CBN News, because truth matters. Download the app today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. We're speaking with psychiatrist Dr. Uma Naidoo, author of the book Calm Your Mind with Food, a revolutionary guide to controlling your anxiety. And this is such great news because we can do so many things just through our diet to help lower anxiety, which so many of us struggle with. And you were saying there are so many different things, Dr. Naidoo, that we should be eating and drinking, supplements that we can be taking to help lower our anxiety. And a good way to remember it is CALMS, C-A-L-M-S. You already went through C and A, which includes ashwagandha. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. Can you talk about the L-M-S?
I can. So L is for liquids, believe it or not, because dehydration can make you feel more anxious. So simply having a sustainable water bottle or a glass of water on your desk, reminding you to be sipping throughout the day is really important. We want to be adequately hydrated, but you can also get, nice sources of liquid and good sources of water through things like a decaffeinated tea. A green tea that's decaffeinated or a passion flower tea can be very calming for the mind. The M is for more omega-3s. Now, we know that omega-3s, we've heard about them before. They're found in wild-caught salmon, in different types of fatty fish, plant-based sources on things like chia seeds and flax seeds. These are really important for brain health, but they also fend off stress and anxiety. So important to have these in our diet on a regular basis. And S is for spices and herbs. Again, something we often overlook in our kitchen. Spices have powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. So start to add those in, as well as those fresh herbs to your meals, your vegetables, your roast chicken, whatever it is that you're making. Include them because they are good for your body and your mind.
So you are, as I mentioned earlier, a professionally trained chef. You graduated with honors from your culinary school. That can actually be intimidating to a lot of us regular folks who really might not be that handy in the kitchen. How well do we need to cook to be able to do this program?
Lori, I started cooking later in my life because I grew up in a large family and honestly, everyone else cooked. So I totally get that. And these recipes are really intended for any one of us to be able to try out. They're not complicated. Just having some simple, basic equipment in your kitchen, trying to buy a whole food rather than a processed version of it. So think the orange instead of the orange juice, which has no fiber in it and often added sugars. And think about using frozen vegetables if there's no added sauce, sodium, or sugar. A frozen cauliflower florets if you don't have time to buy the cauliflower, steam the cauliflower, and make it from fresh. Frozen is actually a good option for us. So try some, some almost these quick ways to get some meal prep done. Having your kitchen set up to make some simple recipes is a good way for any of us to just get ourselves started. And I promise you, I know this from my own experience, that you can start small and build on your repertoire of cooking.
And you did mention the importance of spices. Traditionally, Americans don't hardly use any spice except maybe a little salt and pepper. How important is it to use fresh spices rather than the kind that we have in our cupboard in the pantry, in the bottles that are dried? Are those okay?
Dried spices are completely fine. Usually they're more concentrated. So if you're using the fresh herbs, you probably only need half the amount if you're making a recipe. The dried spices is completely fine. They usually have a shelf life of about a year to retain the flavor. And if you are buying dried spices, and you can maybe get an organic version of it and get a few at a time so that you're using them, or get a set, but then use them every week so that you are not only getting the benefit, but you are going to, they'll last you for 6 months to a year at a time.
And in addition to the recipes in your book, you also have meal plans. It's great that you sort of help people spell out their meals as well, rather than just the recipes.
Correct. And the idea was to create an anti-anxiety shopping list, which we find in the book. So creating that list, so you literally can take a photograph or make a list of your own from the book, take it, and you know that you're set up for that week. Then it's the protocol, like what should I cook when, or how should I use these meals? So it's almost a protocol of what you can follow, and then the recipes as well. So it's meant to be a program that you can try on your own, for yourself, for your family, for someone you know is suffering with anxiety, so that you can really be self-motivated and take the power into your own hands around your mental well-being. Try this at home, and hopefully use it in a way that you will feel better.
All right, we're going to take another break and be right back with psychiatrist Dr. Uma Naidoo, author of the book, Calm Your Mind with Food. Stay with us.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to cbn.com to get your copy today.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are talking with Dr. Uma Naidoo, author of the book Calm Your Mind with Food, a revolutionary guide to controlling anxiety. So, Dr. Naidoo, you talked about the foods that are good for our gut microbiome that help us reduce anxiety. What are the things that we should avoid?
So, Rory, this is a list that many people think about more in terms of their waistline or that number on the scale that could go up. But in fact, they also affect our brain, our mental well-being. The first one being processed, ultra-processed foods, sort of junk foods and fast foods. These are, filled with often ingredients that are preservatives, colorants, dyes, stabilizers, and they're really not good for our body or for our level of anxiety. So thinking to cut back on some of those is really important. Another category is the added and refined sugars, so sodas, a lot of candies, a lot of cakes and cookies, things that are loaded with sugar, or even foods in the supermarket that have a lot of high fructose corn syrup. Unfortunately, we need to be careful about where we consume our sugar. You know, a piece of cake on your birthday, by all means. But what I want people to be thinking about is that shouldn't be your everyday go-to food if you can try to step back from that type of habit. So having berries, having a clementine, having a piece of fruit, having that extra dark natural chocolate we talked about, these are good ways to rethink our desserts on a daily basis. Another one is processed vegetable and seed oils. These are very pro-inflammatory because what they do is they drive inflammation in the gut and in the brain. And inflammation is really something that worsens conditions like anxiety. So being careful about the type of fats and oil we use become important. And remember that when we eat a lot of fast foods, those restaurants tend to save money by using a lot of these types of oils. And unfortunately, therefore, they also worsen inflammation. Another category is artificial sweeteners. Things like diet soda and diet foods that claim to have no sugar. They may not have natural sugar, but they may have artificial sweeteners. And some of those are actually problematic for conditions like anxiety. And the last big category, there are many different foods, but the last big category is really the unhealthy fats, the hydrogenated and trans fats, the ones that actually are shelf-stable baked goods, or you'll see these, or you'll understand them from the label that you read. So be cautious about those and consuming less of those or cutting back on them when you can.
Are there any medications that we should watch out for as well that are harmful to the gut bacteria?
So this is interesting because the research has varied on this. We may need to take an antibiotic for an infection, but sometimes the antibiotics, although they're helping us by treating an infection, can be a little bit disruptive to the gut. My advice here is speak to your doctor because you may be able to eat foods like plain yogurts with berries and some cinnamon or other foods that really are building up your gut when you've had an infection and when you've had to take an antibiotic that is going to help cure or treat that infection. There may be food-related ways that you can help your gut rebuild itself. So that's definitely one of the medications to be careful about. And any others that you are concerned about, you should definitely speak to your physician about.
Great advice. All right, we're going to take a final break and be right back with Dr. Uma Naidoo. The book is called Calm Your Mind with Food. Stay tuned.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
Welcome back to Healthy Living. We're talking with Dr. Uma Naidoo, author of the book Calm Your Mind with Food. And Dr. Naidoo, you said sugar and processed foods are some of the worst things for anxiety. But I'm just going to say it, when I feel anxious, and I'm sure millions of other people feel anxious, that is what I want. My body says, you know, go for that sugar. And, you know, what do we do in those moments when we are feeling anxious and our body is craving sugar and processed foods?
I think that this is something we all struggle with. I think the thing to understand, Lori, is that things that we often call comfort foods are discomfort for the brain. So if you reach out for that food once, that it helps ease that stress for the moment, what I want you to understand is it's not something you should then consume the rest of that day or the rest of that week and be eating it continuously. I want you to think, well, what can I do for my next meal to get back to a healthier food? And let me tell you why. In the short term, those foods may make us feel okay. And some of it is the chemical reaction that occurs in the brain, and it's around carbohydrate metabolism, etc. But unfortunately, the long-term effect of leaning into those less healthy foods is actually problematic for the brain and actually can affect our mood. So my tip around this is have in your environment, you know, some healthy options, and have that occasional food that you might want to reach out for, but don't keep much of it, because let's face it, if we have a box of candy bars and we have that moment of stress, the entire box might be gone by the next morning. So how do we control our environment in a healthier way to make sure that we reach out for better options, a piece of fruit, a piece of extra dark chocolate, a chia seed pudding, something that will still have a sweet taste or texture that you might like, but not be just, you know, the slice of cake, or the candy bar that we may look for all of the time. So I think it's about doing this in moderation and finding ourselves our way back to a healthier meal the next time, so that we can calm our mind. Because if that's all we're going to eat, unfortunately, it's going to drive our anxiety in the wrong direction.
Makes sense. Those healthy substitutions, those could work too. Well, unfortunately, Dr. Naidoo, we're out of time. Wish we could talk longer. How can folks find out more about you and get your book?
Thank you. So you can go to your local bookstore or online retailer. You can check it out on my website, umanaidoomd.com. Follow me on social media and sign up for my newsletter at my website, umanaidoomd.com. And the book is available there, as well as all retailers online, and I hope it'll be helpful to you.
I'm sure it will be, and to many of our viewers. Dr. Naidoo, thank you so much for being with us today. It's great to see you.
Thanks so much, Lori. Always lovely to talk with you.
Once again, the book is called Calm Your Mind with Food, a revolutionary guide to controlling your anxiety. That's all the time we have for this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.